Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today let's take a look at the 2025 Nissan Murano Platinum. This model here has the two-tone color scheme with white and gloss black for the roof. MSRP is just over $54,000. Now this is powered by the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to the 9-speed automatic, pumps out 241 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. It is all-wheel drive, weighs in around 4,400 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in just under 8 seconds. Top speed is 120 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 18.7 gallons, and you'll expect to see 21 miles per gallon in the city and 27 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 111.2 inches. Its overall length is 192.9. It has a width of 78, a height of 67.9, and its ground clearance measures in at 8.3 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling for this model, this has a lot more gloss black than just on the roof. So you'll notice it's on the entire lower section of the front bumper, where there's also a sensor for distance pacing, several cutouts, even parking sensors too. And then it's in the upper grille as well, where there's the Nissan badge with a forward-facing camera. And then you'll notice more gloss black up top with Murano stamped on that driver's side there. It's a nice trim accent that connects the headlight housings on both sides, where you'll notice the high beams and the headlights are in the upper section, and then turn signals and DRLs are in the lower trim accents for that grille section. So again, very nice integration with the bodywork that separates both of those areas. And then there's two distinctive lines that come down the hood to give it a great look. Now this model also has a very nice set of wheels with the two-tone design to them. And then you'll notice more gloss black in the lower side skirt. It's also on the mirrors where there's a camera and a turn signal. Now there is some chrome trim in between the roof and the windows there, where this does have a moonroof too. And then really nice lines that flow down the side, including the fender arches, both front and rear. Now this has a gloss black spoiler with the third brake light. The wiper blade is tucked up nicely up underneath that, so it gives it a very clean look for this rear glass. This also has LEDs for all of the lighting. There's the backup camera, all the parking sensors, and then even some gray trim for the lower section of that bumper. Now this also has remote start, so when you lock it and hold this button on the top of the key fob, it will start up. And then of course you can hold on that to shut it off if needed. Now you can also use the button on the key fob or the button on the top of the Nissan badge there, so it's nicely integrated, to open up the power liftgate. Where this is a 2-row SUV, it has a pretty good amount of space and back. When you lift up the floor, you also get some more storage as well as some of the spare tire components, and you can place in some small items as needed. You can also fold down the back seats from here, which is very helpful. And then there's an area to place that cover, so you can use that as needed. So definitely plenty of space. And then you have two buttons up top to close the vehicle or to lock it as well. Now, if the vehicle does lock, there's no proximity door handle for the rear doors, so you just have to set that up to grab the front door handle to do so. Now this model also has the manual sunshades and then the blue interior, which is very nice, along with all the black accents. Now you have storage in the lower section too, and then this neat trim accent that surrounds the release handle. And then you'll notice the two-tone design, primarily blue for the interior, which is a neat combo. And then at 5'10", I have a good bit of space. There's only one storage pocket on the passenger side. You have vents in the middle, heated rear seats, and then some auxiliaries there. And then at my height, 5'10", I have maybe 1.5 inches or 2 of headroom. So it's actually pretty comfortable. I could ride around town and be nice and comfortable for this bigger size SUV. You also have the armrest with cup holders and a little bit of storage there. Now you do have that small cargo window there, so it does aid in being able to see around this unique pillar design there. Now up front, there's memory seating adjustments, all of your window controls, side mirror adjustments, and then more storage down below. You even get ambient lighting for up front. And then the same two-tone design for the seats, and they are also massaging, so you have that control located on the bottom. Now as we start this up, you have a unique design for the steering wheel here. It also gets paddle shifters. There's all the cruise control settings along with volume. And then on the right side, you have your voice commands, tuning, and then you can use these controls to go through the gauge cluster. So while this is highlighted right here, I can use the scrolling dial and we can go through some of this information. You can also go left and right to get into settings. You have your home screen there, so you can go through a few different things, even change the layout there. And then there's some trip information. You have your engine start stop and fuel here. You can go through some of that information, TPMS. You have navigation and music, and then you can also get into the settings here. So you have a few different things you can go through, just depending on how you want to customize all of this information. Now you'll notice for the rest of the screen, currently on the left there's TAC, right is fuel and miles per hour, but as you just saw, you can also go into the change meter view. So you have a few different ways you can monitor this and still scroll through some of this information though, so that's nice to see. Now if you highlight the opposite control, you can then use these controls to go through the infotainment system. So that's very helpful as well. So you don't have to use it as a touchscreen system. Now to the left, there's a giant air vent. You have the steering assist, head-up display, which you just turn on and off, heated steering wheel, liftgate release. You can adjust all of the ambient lighting, and then there's auto hold and the e-brake. And then for the infotainment system, we'll just go through it using the touch screen, where you have the home view, where you have a split design here, so you can pull up a lot of information. And then on the left, you can get into your maps, also pull up your music, you can get into your phone, and then you have some assistances here that you can talk to and pull up information. And then if you push on the 4 squares, you can pull up some more of these icons that you can scroll through. Now you'll notice as I've been doing that, the lower section is fixed. So you can just push on the bottom there, and that's how you can get into your climates, even get into the heated and ventilated seats for both your driver and passenger. There's also the heated steering wheel too, and then you have some notifications that you can get into. Volume is underneath that, along with air vents, and then you have physical controls for the climate. So you can just tap on this panel here for your fan speed, along with your temperature. You have recircs too. Now there's also wireless charging and some auxiliaries, and you have a few different driving modes. So you can go through these as needed. And then this is your gear selector. So laid out very well, of course. If we push on R, we can bring up that camera system, and then you can also go through a few different views here, depending on how you'd like to see. If I push on drive, you can pull up the forward-facing angle now, and even get into the 360 view. So you have several angles to see around, and then you have park on the left. Behind that, there's engine start stop. You have a shortcut to the camera system, so you can pull that up. And then you have cup holders and storage. You have storage in the armrest, and then a locking glove box. And then up top, you get garage door buttons, a sunglass holder, and then dome lights and controls for both the sunshade and sunroof. And then here's a look at visibility. It's actually pretty easy to see from the driver's seat. And you also have additional windows in front of both side view mirrors. As we sat up behind the wheel now for the Nissan Murano, this has been a really nice SUV to drive for the last couple of days. I've been very impressed with its MPG as well, because I've been doing a lot of driving in the last 4 days. So the range on this seems to be very, very adequate and respectable for a 4-cylinder and the weight of this SUV. But it's been super comfortable to drive. I know I mentioned the massaging seats earlier. I didn't actually show any adjustments. You can go into the screen here and push on adjust, where you don't have that many settings, but they've been nice to have if you want to use them. I have them in my personal vehicle. I use them on and off, so it really just depends on if that's something, of course, that you would like. But seats are very comfortable aside from the massaging function. It's a really nice seating position overall. And it's a comfortable vehicle to drive. It's been very quiet on the highway. It's just, for the money, it seems to be a really nice option to go with. Now we also have the manual setting too, and we have a few different driving modes, so we can put it into sport mode. And with the paddles here, we'll go down to 3rd gear. It's not the quickest vehicle, but it can get up and move. The paddles are pretty responsive too, which is nice to see. It's not a vehicle that you're probably going to use those, if at all, but they are there if you need to downshift for whatever reason. Maybe you're merging onto the highway, things like that. You have those available, but very roomy for its size. Very easy to see around as well. I really don't have any complaints with it. The one drawback I will say is just some of the time it takes to adjust some of the settings, since everything is basically in the screen. Now it's nice that you have a physical button for volume and the climates are laid out down below, but a few things like the heated and ventilated seats would be nice to see more of a shortcut to get into those, rather than a 2-step process to get those set up. But once you get used to it, it is easy, but it would be nice, maybe this trim accent here could have some physical buttons more, or added, for some of those other functions that you would use regularly. And still in sport mode, 2nd gear, here we go. And honestly, that was pretty impressive to get up and move. And again, paddles are very responsive, so you could have a little bit of sporty fun there, at least in a straight line. Getting up to speed seems to be very nice and good power for this. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the Nissan Murano. Definitely a nice update for this model with all the tech and of course everything that you've seen in today's video. And it would make for a great daily driver, something obviously to commute with. The MPG, like I said earlier, phenomenal with the driving that I've been doing. So I'm very impressed to see the range. It was just over 500 miles when I got this vehicle. We're at 314 and we still have well over half a tank in this model. So it would make for a great daily driver, really smooth out on the highway, good for stop and go traffic. We have adaptive cruise too, so you can use that in those situations just to be a little bit more comforting while driving this around. And it seems plenty full for backseat passengers and just a bunch of cargo space. The only thing it doesn't really have is towing, and if you're not really towing, this isn't a vehicle that you would really cross shop for towing, but you could put on maybe a bike rack or hitch or something like that if you needed to, just to make it a little more practical in those aspects if you're using it for activities like that. You sit high up too, so if you want that high seating position for an SUV, seems to be great. And for the driver here, 5'10", I have maybe 2 inches or so of headroom, and this does have a height adjustment for the seat. So for its size, you could be taller than me and still fit very comfortably. And I'll do one more acceleration just in normal drive here. Doesn't seem to struggle, and we're up to speed. So good to see that. But that is going to wrap it up for the 2025 Nissan Murano Platinum. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.